Perspective is a cooperative, story-driven game in the tradition of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, in that you're going to have a case and you're going to work together with your friends and or family to solve the case. There is a twist in the way the cases are structured and presented, which also makes this game not solitaire friendly. A lot of cooperative games you can play solitaire. Here the point is precisely that each player is gonna have limited information, and so it's about communication. It's about trying to share that information efficiently, which is the challenge, of course. You could technically play it solo, but then probably these cases will be way too easy and kind of trivial, because the point is they've been designed for people to have to go over the obstacle of communicating. Another thing is that those scenario-based mystery games, they usually have 10, 15 cases, things like that. This one only has 3, so there's that to take into account. And each you can play in about maybe an hour, 90 minutes. So it's the replay value, it's the staying power is not great. You could probably kill all 3 in a game night with your friends. I play with my family, so we play one case. We play one case per mini game night, per family game night. And it's also that we played it with 4 players, and the ages, well, myself, spouse, 11 and 13-year-old, and we were able to play it. So it's good for adults, it's good for young players. I'm not gonna give you any spoilers. Oh yeah, there's also a tutorial which I haven't even mentioned because we didn't like it at all. Also, it doesn't really exemplify the game, so I don't know why they had that thing. It's a mini game which we found confusing and annoying, but it has nothing to do with the main game, luckily enough. So you just select one of the 3 cases, and inside you will see 4 tabs: Act 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you start with Act 1, of course. Once you have the act, the folder, which I'm not showing you, has the case, so somebody reads it out loud. And then there will be a question, a main question, a main problem that the group is trying to solve. Then you're going to have 12 number cards, and you're going to distribute them around the table without changing the order. So one player gets 1, 2, 3, 4, and then player who got 1 gets the 5, 2 gets the 6 with 4 players, and so on and so forth. This is important because I think the game was designed so that the information is distributed, and so that people have to talk, to discuss certain things. Looking at the cards after the event, I think if you're playing with 2 players, then actually probably, of course, communication is going to be less of a thing because you're going to have 6 cards. But with 4 players, for example, 3 cards each, and the information has been split among different players, and that's pretty neat. What do you do with that? Now you look at your cards and you start describing, well, everybody starts talking at the same time, which is fun, but sometimes the teenagers get a bit annoyed and because they want to talk at the same time as everybody else. There are different kinds of content, different kind of clues that I'm not going to show you. And you're looking at clues. If you were a detective there, you'll be looking at these items, you'll be looking at that source of information. And you start describing, you start talking. Hey, remember the question that we have to answer? This may help. I'm saying this and that. And somebody says, oh, really? What is that? Tell us more about that. And then somebody replies, well, let me go with my thing that is such and such and such. Again, that doesn't really happen. That's everybody just talking at the same time, at least in my family. But somehow we still had a good time when we were able to sort out the messiness. Once also everybody's holding their cards and they cannot show them to the other players. At some point, the group can decide to look at one card. So they say, hey, how about that card? It looks like we really want to take all a look. So one card can be played face up in the middle of the play area for everybody to see. If you want, you can do it again, but each card after the first will cost you a victory point at the end of the act. Once you think you're ready, there's gonna be a number of questions on the back here. You're gonna try to answer them, and then you're gonna look at the solution, which is on the inside of this folder, and there are several questions then. So basically the big question that you were answering is not the only one that you will be asked, but if you worked on that one, you should be able to also answer those other connected, interconnected, related questions. That reminded me a bit of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Every question that you answer correctly at the end of the act is 1 point. Each card past the first that the entire group looked at, you lose a point. As simple as that. Each case has 4 acts, and so you can call them 4 mini games, and that's how it works. That's how you play perspectives. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it quite a bit. Again, other than for the tensions that we have, because my family, people don't like to wait for their turn. I guess there are no turns, and so everybody wants to take theirs always at the same time. Other from those tensions, everybody was like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty neat. The cases are well designed. They're very clever. They often have like one main thing that you need to work around with a couple of other secondary things. It's hard for me to share what I liked about the structure without spoiling it to you. But they're clever, solvable. We did good for most of the questions. So I felt like a good challenge, but also a solvable one. Now the second case, I was playing as we were playing the game. I got a little bit annoyed because it looked like you needed some kind of technical knowledge to solve some of the things. PS technical knowledge that most people but me have, but I don't. It turned out at the end that is not needed. That it could be solved without that. So if you're playing that act, you're like, well, I don't know about this. Well, look for something else. It can be done differently, as I discovered afterwards. That was one of the ones in which we didn't do so well. It's mystery. The first is about theft. The other 2 about murder. I hope that's not a spoiler because you'll see at the beginning of each scenario. But it's so that, you know, if you're playing with younger players, it's not like who stole the gem. It's legit crime. With a sense of escalation. The first is about theft, the second is a murder, but it feels kind of like a Murder, She Wrote, and the third one becomes, there's more violence, there are more mature topics, and maybe it's meant, maybe it worked that way, but there's that crescendo in intensity and thematic things. So what you have here is an idea that we have seen in many other games, the entire Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. You're looking at things very carefully, trying to solve a mystery, approaching the content of the game from a narrative perspective rather than a gamic perspective. It's not about, oh, I'm placing my worker and trading this for that. It's a story that has been split into cards with clues and little text, but you have to look at it like an interactive story. I don't know if interactive is the right word, but definitely a story to solve. Well, does the character want? What are the motivations? What is the opportunity? What are the little things happening here and there? So the idea is known from Sherlock Holmes and other games like that. But here we have it with a much stronger visual element, because those cards have like nice, cool, good-looking illustrations. Again, well crafted as clues. I'm very happy with that. And with an element of communication. It's an intrinsically designed element of communication, of having to describe things to each other. So it's very neat. I think it's a refreshing, nice take on an old, well-known formula. I like the old formula, incidentally. I'm not tired of the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective games either, but I'm also happy there is another way of experiencing that kind of game. But the one thing that the negative is only 3 cases. You could kill them all in a single game night with your adult friends, easily peasy. So unfortunately, it's very perishable in that sense. The replay value is replay value technically is 0, because once you solve a case, there's nothing to go back. But again, this set will not keep you busy for long. So, well, let's hope that they make more, because as an idea and for its execution, Perspectives is really good.